my goodness, this book, you guys. Yes, this book. I actually like this book and I cannot wait to discuss it with you guys. So today I'm going to be doing a book review and sharing my thoughts on The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Jenkins Reid. Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Rachel. As always, you know the drill. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss a thing. You can also like this video as well so that it is referred to other viewers. So today, like I said, I'm going to be reviewing and sharing my thoughts on The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Jenkins Reid. So this was my only read in March. I only read one book in March and I love the fact that it was this book because this book felt like it was 30 books in one. Like, I actually really liked it. Now, the craziest thing about this book is that I've had this book since it came out. I think it came out in 2017. In 2017, I got a copy of this book, or like 2018, early 2018. I've had this book on my shelf for like 2 years or so. I kid you not. And for one reason or the other, I just hadn't gotten to it. I don't know why. Along with the 5 billion other books that I have on my shelf and have no reason why I haven't gotten to them yet. But of course, book lovers, you guys can understand. So yeah, I had to read it because it was the book club pick of the month for March for the Readers Hub book club, which is a book club that is based in Nigeria that I belong to. And I was so thankful that this was the book that was picked because I actually really enjoyed it. We're going to keep this review totally spoiler free because I am so kind. I'm so considerate. Like, I care about your feelings and I don't want to hurt them. So yeah, I mean, especially when I read really good books, I like and I'm envious of the fact that people get to read that book for the first time and just experience whatever it is that I felt while I was reading that book. So definitely on that basis, I'm not going to ruin it for you and I'm not going to give any spoilers. But I mean, my review will give you a very good idea of what the book is about. So the author lives in Los Angeles and is the acclaimed author of these books: One True Loves, Maybe in Another Life, After I Do, and Forever Interrupted. Her novels have been best books of summer by People, Cosmopolitan, Glamour, InStyle, Pop Sugar, BuzzFeed, and a couple of others. And you can go and check out her website at taylorjenkinsreid.com. Now, I hadn't read anything by the author prior to this book that I read, so I didn't really know what to expect other than some of the good reviews that I had seen. So let me read out the synopsis from the back of the book. Reclusive Hollywood icon Evelyn Hugo is finally ready to tell the truth about her glamorous and scandalous life. But when she chooses unknown magazine reporter Monique Grant to write her story, no one is more outstanding than Monique herself. Determined to use this opportunity to jumpstart her career, Monique listens in fascination. From making her way to Los Angeles in the 1950s to leaving show business in the 80s, and of course the 7 husbands along the way, Evelyn unspools a tale of ruthless ambition, unexpected friendship, and a great forbidden love. But as Evelyn's story nears its conclusion, it becomes clear that her life intersects with Monique's own in tragic and irreversible ways. Written with Reid's signature talents for creating complex, likable characters, this is a mesmerizing journey through the splendor of old Hollywood into the sobering realities of the present day as 2 women struggle with what it means and what it costs to face the truth. Let's talk about the plot of this book. I really like the plot of this book. I thought that it was relatively okay paced. Like, it was a book, it was a page turner. That one is for sure. You always wanted to know what was happening next. Like, even as you met and engaged and sort of fell in love or hated any of the husbands that you came across, and that was the way the book was arranged in. You sort of met different husbands. It was arranged into parts and you sort of met like each of the husbands of Evelyn, and through their stories you were able to understand Evelyn's character and who she is as a person. So I thought that the plot was very beautifully arranged. I love the chronology of the book itself. I like the way it flowed. It started from the 1950s. You got to know Evelyn as a young lady who was trying to make her way in life and determined not to let her past basically predict her future, and she wanted to make a life for herself, and she knew what she had, which is that she was very beautiful and very sexually attractive, and she knew how to use, even from a young age, she knew how to use what she had to get what she wanted, and she was very unapologetic about it. And you can see that in her older years as she is telling Monique her story. So I really liked the plot of this book. There were nice plot twists along the way that made me gasp and made me be like, oh no. And maybe it's not the plot twist that people might think, oh, were the grandest plot twist, but for me it was like, oh no, really, this happened. And I really enjoyed that. So it kept on keeping you engaged up until the end. So like I said, the book was set like, you know, there's a very long time frame from the 1960s, you traveled up until the 1980s, and it explored old Hollywood lifestyle. Like, I love the way the setting of this book was captured. Like, I think that the author did a phenomenal job in bringing 1950s old Hollywood to life. Like, she did a very, very good job on that, and I could just imagine myself inside, you know, thrust into that scene of old Hollywood lifestyle, the parties, the publicity stunts, the different things that had to go on, and you sort of got an in-depth look at what Hollywood looks like generally. And even as at that time, things are still relatively how they are now. You know, a lot of things that you see on the surface are not really how they are in real life, and you will find some of these truths in some of the husbands that, and some of the experiences that Evelyn had with some of these husbands, the reasons why she decided to go into the marriages, why she decided to come out of those marriages. And you know, I really love the way the setting of the book brought this book to life. In terms of the characterization, I felt like, oh my goodness, Evelyn Hugo's character was fantastically developed. Like, this is somebody who I feel like I've never met before, but if I'm sitting down with her, I sort of feel like I already know what this woman is about. Like, sharing her life experiences along the way, sharing the lessons that she has learned, that was something else that I really loved about the book. I love the fact that this is a fiction book, and so I don't really, there's like one or two didactic lessons that one can learn from fiction books, but this is a book where there were deep lessons that were infused as Evelyn was telling her story, and I really like that. I found myself highlighting some of these things, lessons that she learned from her marriages, from her relationship with her co-stars and colleagues in the movie industry, and I love the fact that she was unapologetic about these lessons. I'm going to read out some of them because I just can't resist. So this is when she's talking to Monique, who is the writer who is going to tell her story, because I mean, this is basically what the book is about. It's about Evelyn Hugo, who wants to eventually tell her stories. This is like, just imagine Meryl Streep, for example, coming out to say, oh, you know, I've had this crazy scandalous life, and you guys know me on camera, and you've always been speculating about why I've made the decisions that I've made, and I'm ready to tell this story. I'm going to put it in a book or in a magazine or whatever. So just to circle back to some of the things that she said, she told Evelyn when she was looking at her, this is even pretty much at the beginning of the book, do you understand what I'm telling you? When you're given an opportunity to change your life, be ready to do whatever it takes to make it happen. The world doesn't give things, you take things. If you learn one thing from me, it should probably be that. There was one time when she said, it's always been fascinating to me how things can be simultaneously true and false. How people can be good and bad all in one. How someone can love you in a way that is beautifully selfless while serving themselves ruthlessly. Another time she says, forgiveness is different from absolution. There was one of the husbands that she met, and she said she met him when he was winning, and she married him when he was winning, and she had not known him when he was losing. You know, yes, I was bothered but not entirely surprised. I had quickly learned that Don was only kind when he was happy, and he was only happy when he was winning. I had met him on a winning streak, married him as he was ascending. I was quickly learning that sweet Don was not the only Don. And that's what a lot of people find when they get married. You get married to someone who has their life, or seemingly has their life together. The person is winning, the person is like on a high streak, the person has a good job, is financially stable, and then that is sort of who you fall in love with and how that person treats you. Yes, the person might have moments where they're frustrated, where they have things that happen to them that are not so nice, but that's who you basically meet and who you fall in love with. And so in 5 years' time, if that person loses their job or loses a loved one or something crazy happens to that person, the person sort of, it seems like as if the person has become a different person. But let's just say that's always been part of who the person was. So that is something that I just thought about. Anyway, back to characterization. I really loved Evelyn's character, and I thought that it was amazingly developed. I loved Celia's character. Celia was Evelyn's very good friend, and in the book you will come to know the sort of relationship that they eventually had, and they were lifelong friends, and they were so they were so in love with each other. Even Harry, who was also Evelyn's friend, the love between them was outstandingly amazing, and I love the development of Harry's character. Harry was one of my favorite characters to me. I loved also the minor characters that were in this book, and this is one of those books where minor characters actually in a little way shake up the plot of the book and are the reasons why certain major things happen, and I love to see that infusion of the role that minor characters play in a book like this. So it's not just concentrated on the major characters. I think that the author did a fantastic job. My only reservation when it comes to characterization was Monique's character. I thought that the character should have been written for a younger person. You know, Monique, I found out, was 35, and yes, there are people who are still trying to find their lives at 35, but I felt like it just screamed 23 or 24. That's what Monique maybe should have been. But you know what, I like the fact that the author was able to twist it around, because most of the time when you watch all these type of TV shows like Devil Wears Prada, or like all these things where they're young, eager to please interns who have just entered into a magazine company or a very popular company, and they're eager to prove their worth, and then you're picked up by someone who is so popular, and the person specifically requests for you, and you're doubting your skill, you're doubting your abilities, you have really low confidence and all that. I like the fact that, yeah, maybe the author might have wanted to switch things up and make Monique like an older person, but for me, I felt like it would have been better suited if Monique was younger. The writing style was lovely, it was easy to understand, it was written in first person point of view, from Evelyn's point of view, telling her story, and from Monique's point of view as she listened to Evelyn's story while she was meeting with her occasionally to sort of get down the story and know how she was going to write. It's easy to understand, like I said, page turner. It keeps you wanting more and finding out what will happen on the next page. And like the synopsis says, there is this relationship between Monique and Evelyn, which eventually you get to know, and that is one of the major plot twists, which of course I'm not going to say anything about, but it was mind-blowing. Trust me, it was really mind-blowing. This book explores amazing themes that made me rethink so much about my perspective on certain things in life. So it explored love in different forms, death, betrayal, abuse in different forms. I love the love between Evelyn and Harry. Like, this was a love that showed you that you could be selfless, you could be so passionate, you could be like so into someone and you don't particularly want anything from them. You could be willing to sacrifice your whole life for them. You could be willing to, you know, do things for them so that you guys could experience life together as best friends. And I really love that intimate love. And intimate love is not always about like, oh, sex or physical intimacy. And Harry and Evelyn had that. In terms of Celia, oh my goodness, I had some reservations about Celia, but there's no way that I can describe Celia's character without giving spoilers, so I'm not going to. I felt like Celia's character was really well written, but I fought with her character. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, you know, when you have an issue with somebody's character, not the way the character was written, that was my issue with Celia. But man, all in all, I think that the author did a fantastic job with this book, and I really, really enjoyed it. The title of this book is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I think that one of the first things that Monique asks her is, so who is the love of your life? Like, out of all these 7 husbands, like, first of all, who gets married to 7 husbands? Secondly, like, you must have loved one the most out of all of them. Like, why did you do that, and why did you? And ironically, the love of her life, you will find out from the book. I'm just going to keep quiet, so yeah, go and read the book. But yeah, it was lovely, it was entertaining, and it was a beautiful read with valuable lessons. There were little nuggets here and there that Evelyn dropped. I love the fact that she was unapologetic and she was ready to, you know, do what she needed to do to get to where she was going to get to. And the truth about it is that a lot of human beings are like that, but we don't really talk about it. Everybody wants to be so like quiet about the way they step on other people's toes or use people to get to where they want to get to. But this is a character who was unapologetic about it up until the very end. And one of the, I can't even talk about a major theme in the book which showed itself in the end, which actually was the foundation upon which Evelyn Hugo decided to tell her story, but it was such a beautiful one, and I really liked it. It culminated in a beautiful story, really. And for me, I would give this book a very strong 4.5 over 5. So if you're looking to read something like this that has romance, it has drama, it has old Hollywood, it's like fiction, it's bubbly, it's entertaining, yeah, that's this one is for you. So yeah, I really enjoyed, and I'm thankful that I eventually got to reading it. So this is one less book off my shelf that I've gotten like how many years ago. So if you've read it, let me know in the comments what you think about it. If you've not read it, let me know whether it's something that you will pick up. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.